Hey guys, wanted to do a quick video on my outdoor boiler here. It is an Eliminator made by Freedom Outdoor Furnace, which I believe went out of business probably 6 or 7 years ago. I think when all the EPA regulations came in about outdoor boilers. But I just wanted to kind of review it because you can still find these online on Craigslist, and I wanted to go over the pros and cons, which are going to be similar with any kind of outdoor boiler like this, even the new style. So the one I've got, it's called the Eliminator 36, and it's called the 36 because it will fit 36-inch long pieces of wood in. The opening for the doorway is, or where you load it, is 20 by 20, so you can put a really big chunk of wood in there. You know, bigger than you really want to manhandle. You'd probably throw your back out before you put a chunk that big in. But I heat my house through radiant floor heating, as well as my shop, and my house is about 2,000 square feet. The shop is there's about 1,400 square feet of heated space, and it's all insulated with R19 because that's what my roof rafters would allow. They were 2x6, some of it, and I couldn't really stuff anything thicker in there unless I went with a foam board insulation, which was kind of cost prohibitive. I didn't want to do that. And being a shop, and being that I'm burning wood too, I didn't really feel that was necessary. So I'll show you where this guy had the boiler set up, and he never really used it. He used it one winter, he said, but he always went down to Florida for the winter, so he'd set the house at like 60 with the electric heat, and basically just drain this for the winter and take off. So there's the firebox. Like I said, it's 20 by 20, 36 inches deep. It's got a shaker grate right here, which you can actually run coal, probably chestnut sized coal. And then here's your ash box, which you don't have to empty very often at all. Probably like every week and a half to 2 weeks. On the right hand side, you have your sight glass for your water level right there, and your temperature gauge, which I need to put a 90 on this since I finished this wall and everything and insulated it. A little too close to read there, so gonna do that. On the back side here, you got your circulator pumps. This will actually pump all the way through the house. This pumps through the whole shop. Here's your blower fan. When there's a call for heat, that'll kick on and feed the fire and get you back up to temp. Here's another set of takeoffs for a third building if you wanted to. And over here is your thermostat, so that's what controls your water temp. I have that set at 150. The fan will come on and then it'll shut off again at 160. So that's how that works. And then I'll show you the shop here. So the PEX comes out the top, or out of the back there, ran it along the ceiling here and into the shop, and then into these unit heaters, which are basically daisy chained together, one at each end of the building. They're controlled by this thermostat, so the hot water is always running through those and back to the boiler, and that keeps the shop actually almost 50 degrees. I have this set all the way at the lowest setting, which is about 50 degrees, and then anytime it drops below that, the fans on the unit heaters will kick on and blow across those coils, and it'll heat the shop right up, actually pretty quickly too. They were I got those off a site called Badger Pipe. They were about $200 a piece, which was pretty reasonable, I thought. You just need 120 volt power there. And then you gotta, I have those receptacles tied into this thermostat, so the fans will get power whenever that thermostat calls for heat. So that's how the garage works. And like I said, it stays pretty warm in here until you get down below around 25. The radiant heat from these PEX pipes running through the garage actually keeps it almost to 50 on the thermostat, so it's pretty nice. The fans kick on very rarely. You know, if it gets really cold out, they'll kick on. So the way the house works, the boiler is always pumping through this main loop right here, in and out. Now, when there's a call for heat, these zone valves will open. For the second floor, this zone valve would open. It would go through all these PEX pipes. For the first floor, this zone valve would open and it would go through all these PEX pipes. And then this would close whenever there's a call for heat, so that it's not short-circuiting. And then these are the return manifolds. And then back out through your blue, which is your return line. So it's pretty simple. And then there's a third zone set up for a third zone, but he never used it for anything, the guy that set this up. So pretty neat, pretty slick. And then this was all radiant floor heating when I moved in, which is really nice in the wintertime. Alright guys, so like I said, I wanted to talk about the pros and cons of a heating system like this. And I'll start with the cons, and I'd say number one, obviously you have to be here to fill it. You know, it's just me, so if I go away for the weekend, I gotta find a friend or somebody, my dad or a buddy, have somebody come over and fill it, because obviously that's just part of burning firewood. So you know, if you want to set your thermostat and just forget it, an outdoor boiler is not going to be for you. The other major con, I'd say, is you got to cut firewood. And you know, some people do buy firewood, but I don't know how much you'd really save by buying firewood. I don't think you'd save any, really. If I was gonna, you know, if I didn't want to cut firewood, I'd probably get a high efficiency propane boiler and just set it and forget it, and pay my propane, buy it in the summer where you can get a discount rate and go that route. So I'd say that's the second major con. Third, I'd say, you know, anytime you're burning wood, there's a chance you could have a fire. My boiler's in the shop there, so I just try to keep combustibles away from it, and you know, when you're loading it, just be careful. If you get a coal or ashes out on the floor, make sure you pick them up and dump them outside or wherever. So you just got to be mindful of that. And you know, I'd say it's probably safer. It's definitely safer than having a wood stove in the house. If the shop burns down, I mean, hopefully that never happens, but you know, it's not like you're going to be sleeping or something. It's not like you're going to be in harm's way inside the house. Fourth, I'd say one con is you got to have electric to run the pumps and the blower. So if there is a power outage, you know, it's not like a propane or a gas fireplace, you know, where you could just turn that on and you're going to have heat. I have a generator, so I can feed my panel and feed the outdoor boiler here in case of a power outage, but you just got to think about that and plan ahead. It's not going to work without power. Other than that, I think you know, there is a potential it can get smoky once in a while. If it's sitting there, doesn't have a call for heat for a while, it will smolder a little bit, but I have not really experienced that as an issue. Unless you're burning really green wood or burning garbage, I really don't think that'd be a big issue. So I wouldn't be too worried about that if I was looking at these for a heating option. As far as the pros go, I'd say obviously having little to no heating bill is number one. My heating bill this winter has been whatever it's cost me to maintain my chainsaw, you know, bar oil, gas, chainsaw oil, and sharpening blades. That's about it. So, and cutting firewood, if you've got the property to do it, I mean, why not? You got trees that are going to fall over, and rather than leave them sit there and rot, if you can use it to heat your house and your shop, great. Another big pro of this is you can heat multiple buildings with it. you know, with a traditional like forced air furnace or electric heat, something like that. Obviously, you got to have a system for each different building that you're trying to heat. So I'd say that's a major plus to having an outdoor boiler, is that you can heat multiple buildings. Other thing, I leave my thermostat in my house on 70 at all time. You know, if you're not paying for it, or essentially not paying for it, you're working for it more or less. But like I said, I enjoy going out and cutting firewood, which I understand isn't for everybody. So you just have to think about that. If you don't have time to cut firewood, an outdoor boiler isn't going to be for you. But I leave the house on 70, I leave the shop on 50. I can go to work and not worry about it. When I get home from work, the shop's always warm, which is awesome. To not have to wait for the shop to heat up when I want to go out there and work. I can just walk out any time of the night, any time of the day, and it's always warm. So that's a huge plus. Last year I was heating it with a salamander heater, and the fumes and everything, it kind of sucks working out there. Your throat hurts when you're done. You smell like diesel or kerosene or whatever you're burning, and it's just kind of nasty. So this is a really nice heat. And then finally, I'd say, you know, burning wood, it is carbon neutral, which isn't important to everybody, but I think anytime you can have a smaller carbon footprint, that's a good thing. And, you know, just using stuff that is a renewable resource rather than fossil fuels. So you're kind of off the grid, whereas if you're burning propane or natural gas, you pretty much have to have it delivered, and you know, you're relying on somebody else for your heating source, whereas this, you're kind of self-sufficient. So that's a major plus to me. I really like that. One plus I didn't mention, forgot to talk about, but it's the actual processing part, preparing your firewood. So like I said, this thing can take a huge chunk of wood, and as it is, I really don't split anything unless I have to, if it's too big to fit in, if it's bigger than 20 by 20. But I almost burn rounds exclusively. So between cutting it 36 inches long, which is basically double your standard size wood stove that you'd have in your house, and not having to split it, you're handling the wood like a third of the time that you would have to burn wood inside your house. So that's a major plus. I mean, it cuts down on a ton of time. You're not sharpening your chainsaw as often. You don't have to maintain a splitter as well. And just the time aspect, like I said, is the biggest part. So that's a major plus. And then I forgot to mention while we were in there looking at the boiler, you can run another fuel source. So if you do go away for the weekend, you can run it off like fuel oil and stuff like that, which it's actually plumbed in from one of the bays of the garage over here, from a fuel oil tank to the actual boiler there. And I have oil burning attachment that I haven't put on the back of the boiler there yet. So I'd like to do that this summer and just see how it works. So I won't really go into that much until I know how well that works. But you're supposed to be able to run that, or I guess even propane, if you had a propane tank or something hooked up, just in case it ever burns out while you're gone, you know, away from the house or whatever. So, you know, if I ever get that hooked up, I'll do a video on that too. And then I told you guys I would talk about how much wood I've burned. So I've burned right around 10 cords this year. All right, that's what I'll burn by the end of the season. I projected I'm like at 9 cords right now, and it's supposed to get warm here next week, so that'll, you know, my wood consumption is going to go down drastically. Anytime it gets up around 40, 50 during the day, I mean, I burn way less. As it is, like on a 20-degree day, I'll fill the wood stove twice, once in the morning before I go to work and once at night before I go to sleep. So it's not bad. And then, like I said, if it's up into 50 or so during the day, you can get away with filling it once a day. And then on the other side of that, when it's like -10 or -15 like we had a couple weeks ago, you're probably going to fill it 2.5 times a day. And what I mean by that is, before you get ready to go to work, you fill it. When you get home from work, you throw a few pieces on, and then before you go to bed, you fill it again. So it's not that bad to keep up with, and I don't think 10 cords of wood to heat a big shop and a big, decent sized house is that bad. So hopefully this will help you guys if you're looking at this sort of heating option, and help you make a better decision. And if you have any questions, put them in the comments, and I'll try to answer them. And I'll see you guys on the next video.